I'm here for 2 or 3 reasons. One, and I've been directed to be here, and I'm here, which is very important. Then 2, it's something very close to my heart because this is my area as a geographer. 3, what we are doing today is something worthy of commendation, and I must acknowledge the resilience of Prof for being very consistent on this for quite a while. You have mentioned so much in your presentation and in the video that I watched. But I want to just highlight 1 or 2 things just before I maybe summarize my presentation. There are things that happened before now, which I think is important to take note of and document. What happened initially some years back, before that event, was the myth. I have been in Suleja here as a zonal town planning officer for 6 years. And during that time, that was when I gave the approval for this as a town planning officer. And I saw the zeal, the commitment of this man, Dr. Moayed. Because that time, nobody wants to stay around this area. It's a dead end. Believe me, nobody. Because in fact, if you pass through this corridor, you are just a corner. But he had that commitment that he wanted to develop something because of that. And he started that job, and we're here today. But before then, there were some people that did something which I think is important for us to go back and pick note. Some white men, I don't know from where, these climbers, that myth that this rock in those days used to have like a kind of gate that people, they would, enter and then they would disappear and so on and so forth. And another myth, which is very important, and this is something that, well noted by all the people that are living around here, that this rock that you are seeing, the Zuma is the husband, while the remaining ones at the back, they are the wives. So these small rocks. So, and one of the arguments that we took about 5 years ago when they started doing quarry, and they will tell you that no, we're not touching the Zuma Rock. I said, well, you're touching his wife at the back. So, and you don't know, of course, you've been a geologist, I'm a geographer, so this is something that we know. There must be connection on the ground. It's not just like that. So when you say you are mining one at the back, or the one at the back, which was flat, and you are not touching this rock, could you believe that crack that happened? It was a result of that action. So now you are destroying one or two of his wives, and you think you'll be happy. So every year they used to do sacrifice for everything to be fine. So one time during the government of Mazu Abangadiu, he now had this very big dream that he wanted to see what is on top of that Zuma Rock. And then there was a kind of carnival that one evening I was in Suleja when we blocked the whole of this road. And then they used a helicopter to land people on top. And I think we conquered Zuma Rock, nobody died. So at least from there we say yes, something happened. But before then, some white people climbed and put the flag of Nigeria there, which is very important. We need to know what they did, where they did, and what they have done. That is the beginning. And then the next stage was what? When this government, the last government of Mazaginu did thought of that. In fact, a very wide dream to have the whole of this area being protected. Then the third most important was Zuma Resource when he initiated his program. And then there was also the last government that declared Zuma Cultural Investment City around this area, including from this place up to about, I think 300, 400, 500, I think about 1,000 or so hectares, so that this area should be protected. And the last but not the least, which is the most important, is the effort of my principal. When he came, part of what he did was to engage a team very dedicated to work with Moayed to come out with what we call the Greater Suleja Development Plan. And this team came out with something that we call SADC, SADWEC. And the meaning of that is Sabon Wuse Dede Exclusive Economic Corridor. The idea is this area must be seen to be alive, must be very active, must be vibrant, so that we have all that we are looking at. And that was really what we are working on. And what you are doing now is in tandem with that. So I think these are just the context that I want us to take as something to go back. which. But for the purpose of this day, I think I must say one or two things. To say today is not only about your day, even though I'm also part of it by virtue of my training. But today is also World Habitat Day. First Monday of October is always first and today is the first Monday. So we're celebrating 2 international observers here. And we must acknowledge the visionary leadership of the governor, whose new Niger agenda is nothing more than what? Changing the narrative and bring about development, sustainability, and emancipation of what? Our people to be economically independent. So these 2 days are very important, 2 significant. One, UNESCO created the International Geodiversity Day to highlight the value of the Earth Foundation, its rocks, soil, and landform for sustained life. Geodiversity underpins our water system, cities, climate, and ecosystem. It calls us to protect our geological heritage, just like you mentioned, build the art literacy among our youth to understand whatever is happening, there are basis, foundation, and then consequences for doing something or not doing it. And also promote responsible stewardship. While the World Habitat Day 2025 theme, which is all about resilience, is talk about resilient urban economies, cities as drivers of growth and recovery. This is also important, what we are doing here. If you know your history, you can plan more for that. So this aligns with nature's self-transformation effort through the greater Suleja development plan that I mentioned, Mina urban regeneration, which is what the government is doing, and also we have the commitment of the government for what we call the upgrade of NIGIS, which is Niger State Geographic Information System, to talk about mapping and so on and so forth. This initiative affirms that geodiversity and habitability must be planned together, balancing nature with human aspiration. This is very important. I found my presence here very important because part of what UNESCO is doing, I happen to be, by chance, let me say, involved in one or two things. In 2014, we were at Nagoya when this end of the decade of education for sustainable development, DESD, took place. And then there was the launch of the Global Action Program on ESD. So one of UNESCO's most profound contribution through the decade of education for sustainable development, 2005-2014, was the recognition that achieving sustainability requires all forms of knowledge. This is very important. Formal, informal, and non-formal, or what we call indigenous. UNESCO emphasized the importance of local and indigenous knowledge in shaping development that reflect the people it serves. As we discuss Zuma Rock, we must appreciate that it represents more than a geological monument. It embodies the totality of our people, their history, identity, spiritual continuity, and that is why we have the GM, Tourism Corporation, spirituality, environmentality, and so on and so forth. Only then can we truly appreciate the name Zuma and its significance, not only as a geological marvel, but as a living heritage connecting place, culture, and prosperity. This is very important. How much have we known about this? And I'm happy you discussed with this guy from Chachi. But I think we need to do more, because one of the key gaps that we're having is we look at things from technical to technical. And we too much grammar, and then we lose the value. This local knowledge that we're taking for granted we think is outdated. Is what is keeping some communities and societies alive. Go to China. They don't put away their local knowledge, and that's why we have this acupuncture and everything. But here, how many of us, for goodness sake, there are things that are efficacious, they can work locally, but we are taking them for granted. So I think let's use this platform to document what we know about Zuma Rock, the myth, the fact, and the mystery, so that at least we will have something to tell our story. It's not just about the technical geoscience, no. The historical content, which is part of what you are doing, is very important. So we need to go back. Some of these people have been, they are going, and we're living so much. I'm using this platform to appeal. This is something that I have been part of, because being the coordinator of Regional Center of Expertise on Education for Sustainable Development, which is also a UNESCO-supported program, MENA has been part and parcel of that activity. And we have, that's why I'm very happy what you are saying. Being pioneer. When RCE movement started in 2009 and 10, We had two in Nigeria, Lagos and Kano. And then in 2011, Mina was added. Because we were added, we were able to brought on board additional about 8 or 9 now that are RC. We have in Zaria, courtesy of the current VC, who happens to be somebody close to me, Professor Adamami. So we have actually Zaria, we have Kano, and then I think others. So what am I saying here? UNESCO, they have been in this kind of thing where we look at the local environment. The idea of RCE is what? Regional Center of Expertise on Education for Sustainable Development, where development, it has all been confirmed, cannot be all about formal, but we look at informal and not formal. So local initiative within this, what have we done? Through RCE Mina, we translated global sustainability framework into local action. For instance, regenerating urban spaces like Park and Go Cemetery. These are small things that you are taking for granted. Just like what you are doing. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be too technical. It doesn't have to be expensive. Believe me, the simpler it is and effective, the more these white people that we are working with, they respect ideas that are simple. It's not about money. You may not have any couple, but your idea can take you places. So this is what I think. So what we did was, we have been teaching students as a planner. Go to most of these our university. What will you see? You will see so many research work on cemetery planning. But how many have they implemented? Because look at it as just pass. But the GM will tell you, and I think my director of planning is here. We look at the governor approved the expansion of the cemetery by 3 hectares. We say, okay, if we believe in this thing, let's put it into practice. We design a layout for these graves, and we are able to have 3,000 something graves, and we now put walkways, and now is the talk of the town. In fact, somebody was telling the governor that he was in Abuja, even though jokingly, that he had some people discussing over coffee that he want to go and die in Mina. They say, why? Because in Mina, they designed the place where even you have a layout, you can pick, I want plot 1 or plot 2 or plot 3. There are walkways, there are lights. This is simple. How much is idea? We don't wait for somebody. So these are the kind of things that I think we need to take into consideration in moving forward. And I'm happy the Vice President has given it. What he's saying, subnational to take action, it's not about the government, even as subnational, sub-community, or whatever household. What ideas do we know? Part of what this Geopark should do is what are the things that are on the ground around this community that has not disappeared. When this rock, when I was here 15, 20 years ago, believe me, the beauty of Zuma Rock is behind, not in front. So we have this era, planet and so on and so forth. So my concluding remark here is, as we commemorate this day, these twin observance, the World Habitat Day and the Geodiversity Day, let us remember that every rock, river, and settlement tells a story of the earth that sustained us and the homes we built upon. Together with UNESCO and UN Habitat, Nature says stand committed to inclusive, climate resilient, and knowledge-driven development. Let me close my remark with this. From our land to our people, from our soil to our cities, we reaffirm that sustainability begins where knowledge meets the ground. Thank you very much.